we requested around $22,000 in credits. So I just helped my client close on a property last week in Silver Lake. And I just wanted to go ahead and share what I, as a real estate agent, do for my clients and how I'm able to actually save them money. So with this particular client, we were looking at homes for maybe a month and a half, and we had put in a couple offers, and unfortunately we weren't able to get those offers. Now, the first home, they were actually very invested and they really liked it. Now, unfortunately, after we put in an offer, there was so much competition, the price ended up going higher than what she was going to offer. Now, we tried our best and we tried to see what else was important, what else we could negotiate on. But unfortunately for this seller, what was most important was the price. Now, although our client could have gone to that price, it just wasn't worth it for them given the cost of repairs. After losing out on the offer, my client even realized that home probably wasn't the best for them anyway. Now, moving on to the next home, we did put in an offer and they were fairly certain that they wanted that house as well, but we ended up not getting that one. Although we could have pushed it a little bit further, they decided that the home wasn't really worth putting in the extra money once again. Now, once we actually did find the home that was absolutely right for them, we wanted to make sure that this third time going in, we wanted to secure the deal. So that's where I, real estate agent, had to come in and really do my homework. Everybody says being a real estate agent is super easy, but what is hard is doing negotiations. Actually making sure that your client gets their offer accepted no matter what. And so this one, we were actually able to double down and make that happen. One of the first things I did after we decided that we were going to put an offer on that home is I was going to call up the listing agent. So the listing agent and I chatted for a little while and I got to know exactly what it is that the seller wanted. We discovered that the seller didn't really care too much about a long escrow, though a shorter one was preferred, and wanted a fair offer. They weren't asking for too much, but they definitely wanted to get their money's worth. On top of that, they really wanted to make sure that the deal was going to go through. They wanted as little reason as possible for the buyers to back out. Now, what the listing agent did to protect the seller was do a pre-inspection. Now, that pre-inspection basically shows the buyers everything wrong with the house, and they're going to put an offer in knowing that there's things wrong with the house. That being said, I was able to show my client everything that came out in the inspection report, and after reading that, we were able to again decide whether we wanted to put in an offer. After taking about an hour or two to go through the pre-inspection report, they decided that all the things that needed fixing were very doable. After having lost 2 offers, that made it so much clearer that this home was the right home for my client. They were able to use this home and compare it to the other homes that we put offers on, and that really helped put in perspective how those homes were definitely not right for them. Another thing we had to do was manage expectations. Knowing that we got a pre-inspection report, we have to assume that the seller doesn't want to go ahead and give me credits. That being said, it is a real estate agent's job to go ahead and try and negotiate anyway. So going into this, I told my clients, do not expect anything back. If we put an offer in at this price, are you okay if you get nothing back? And they said yes, they're okay with that. Now, another well-kept secret that a lot of real estate agents don't use to their advantage is a certain clause. Now, this clause states that you're willing to pay more than whatever another bona fide offer is willing to pay. Now, this doesn't always work. Some real estate agents don't actually like to use this because they feel that it's not fair. But in this case, the seller was willing to accept an offer like that, and so we use it to our advantage. Our buyers were willing to go over whatever the other person was offering. What we also did was go ahead and remove some of the contingencies that were tied with that offer. Remember, the seller's greatest concern was just making sure that the deal went through. So we wanted to remove all the reasons to back out as much as we could. With that, we gave a very short appraisal contingency and we removed the loan contingency. Now, we were only able to do these things because we have very trusted lenders that are confident enough for us to remove those from our offer. They know that even without these contingencies, that this deal is going to go through with their loan program. So all this to say, we actually ended up getting the offer. It was fantastic. It was a great day. They were so happy to hear that. So immediately from day one, we started scheduling the inspection, the appraisal. We started getting all of our ducks in a row so that way we could close as soon as possible, just like we said we would. Now, as I stated earlier, it is a real estate agent's job to negotiate on behalf of their clients. Although they did give us that pre-inspection report, once we conducted our own inspection, we were still going to go ahead and ask for credits. Now, there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed. For example, there were posts and piers underneath the foundation of the house that needed to be fixed. There was some slight leaking in the bathroom. There was an asbestos pipe sticking out of the bedroom, and there needed to be remediation to the roof. Now, the great thing that we do with our inspectors is they supply us with a pricer report. Now that pricer report will give us a rough estimate of the costs of all the repairs that need to be done. So using that pricer report, we were able to give an exact number as to what we wanted in credits, and we were able to back up why we had that number. Now the number we threw out there was pretty crazy, and I'm actually surprised at the results. We requested around $22,000 in credits for repairs. Now this wasn't really easy. We had to call up the listing agent and we had to talk back and forth. They really know their seller best, so they were the ones that could help us determine whether this was a ludicrous thing to ask for or whether it was reasonable. After a lot of discussion, we settled on that number, and so we decided to submit that request for repairs. The listing agent sent it to their client, and they actually were willing to accept the offer. So with that, we were able to get our client $22,000 credit for closing costs. And the small amount that was left over from the closing costs was actually used to buy down the rate even further. It is negotiation tactics like this which makes good real estate agents. This is why you can't just be using the family friend or somebody you met at an open house. You gotta make sure that they're able to use these tactics to your benefit. You also wanna make sure that the real estate agent is completely transparent. All these things that we were doing for our clients, we made sure that they knew everything we were doing every step of the way. There were phone calls every other day, if not every day. Communication is key when you're making one of the most important decisions and purchases of your life. So all that being said, we were able to close in 21 days, and it was honestly a perfect transaction. If you're looking for a home and you want to make sure you're using the right real estate agent, feel free to reach out. I can have a buyer consultation and I can walk you through all the steps about how we can get you into that dream home. Using the right realtor is key to getting you in your perfect house. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.